Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for joining me on the Marketing Resolution YouTube channel. Today I have with me Jeff Husserl from Centrum Associates. Hello, Jeff.
Hello, Natalie.
How are you today?
I am well. It's great to be with you.
Well, thanks very much for joining me. So now I know that you've got two offices, one in Chicago and one in Southern California. Where are you today?
I am in Southern California, and it's a nicer time of the year to be in Southern California than Chicago. So it's good to be in California in the winter.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as you're gone before the June gloom arrives, you're good.
Absolutely.
So, well, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. I know that your practice is super successful and that your time is limited, so I don't want to keep you too long on the line. But I was wondering if you could just real quick introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you do, how you do it, for whom you do it, give us a brief synopsis of what your practice is like.
Sure. Well, my practice, Natalie, really blends organizational development and leadership development with mediation and conflict management. And I think the two are really connected, and it's really why I built the practice in the fashion that I did. I'm a big believer that leaders that are able to manage conflict more constructively are more effective than those that can't. And to me, conflict management is the one skill that all of us need, and most of us have never had any training in terms of the real world. We come into the workplace, and most of what we've learned about conflict management is what we learned from our parents. And sometimes that can be good, and sometimes it's not so good. And so I think the combination of the two has been a very effective marketing point for me.
Good. Yeah. So now, did you start out in the corporate world and realize that there was a need for your service, or did you start your service first and then try to apply it to a particular target market?
Yeah, I did start out in the corporate world, Natalie. I was a manager in financial services and eventually switched my career over to human resources and became a chief human resources officer. And it was really in that role where I saw conflict play out in the workplace with teams, with executives, battles over resources, personality clashes. And I realized that conflict was a very costly factor in business. In fact, it costs North American business about 400 million days of lost productivity a year. And I thought there's got to be a better way. And after I left corporate, I really decided to reinvent myself as a mediator. And I went back to Pepperdine Law School, the Strauss Institute, and received a master's in dispute resolution and also a 40-hour certification from the Center for Conflict Resolution in Chicago. And I had found, even in my human resources career, that the aspect of the HR responsibility that I enjoyed the most always kept coming back to employee relations, helping people resolve their differences, helping executives become more effective in their jobs. And so the mediation really is something that ties all that together.
Absolutely. And I think that you can't overstate how important it is for someone in your position to alleviate the soft costs in addition to the hard costs to a company. The soft costs being, a loss of morale or a loss of, productivity or friction in the workplace, petty revenges or things of that nature. And I know that those are a bit hard to measure, but for humans, the employees, those things are possibly even more important than how they value you reducing the hard costs to the company.
That's true. And there actually are metrics that can be applied to this work. Certainly, if you think of turnover costs, and the increase in turnover that occurs in a culture that has toxicity from conflict, those are really measurable costs. The same holds true for employee engagement. Studies have shown that cultures that are more effective at managing conflict will have higher engagement scores. And engagement is a leading indicator of profitability, customer service, etc. So it's an important measurement. And if you just think of the culture in general, it's a better place to work in an organization where conflict is not out of control.
Yeah, I was just reminiscing internally here. I saw an interview once with Richard Branson for Virgin Airlines. And the journalist asked some leading question about how does he feel about customer service? And he said, well, I don't really think about it. I take really good care of my employees. And if my employees are happy working for me, then they're going to treat my customers the way customers deserve to be treated. But my primary goal is to treat my employees the way they need to be treated and keep them happy. And everything else falls into place thereafter. And I thought, what a great way to be a leader, to lead your employees and to feel that sort of fiduciary responsibility and then take action on it. I really enjoyed that bit of the interview.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that sentiment more, because I think that if you do take care of the employees, the customers are happy, and ultimately the shareholders are happy. And I think sometimes the mistake companies make is they think of the shareholders first. And in truth, you should think of the employees first, and the shareholders ultimately will benefit.
I think everyone benefits. It has a trickle-down effect. If my spouse is happy working for his company, he comes home a happy human, and our interaction over the dinner table is happier. And there's less stress in his life. That means there's less stress in my life, or for our children, or our grandchildren, or our neighbors, or fellow congregants, or fellow citizens of the planet. And so the trickle down of having these really sound policies of keeping a reduction in conflict in the workplace, I think it just spreads itself like the loveliest virus everywhere we take it.
I agree. And of course, when you see tragic incidents that happen in the workplace, many times that can be conflict that has just not been managed. And it's not to say that you can stop every single incident of violence in the workplace, but as I read about these occurrences, they're deeply disturbing, and you wonder, could the organization have done something to be more proactive so it didn't get to that stage?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're working with your clients, I suppose it depends client by client what it is that you do for them or how you do what you do. Can you give me an example of work that you do with a client and how that looks?
Sure. Natalie, there are two parts of my business, as I described, the leadership and organizational development, and I also have a private mediation practice. So I mediate primarily workplace and employment disputes or pre-litigation cases on the workplace and employment side. I also do a lot of work with the EEOC of San Diego and Los Angeles in terms of mediating discrimination charges. On the other side of the business, although they're really integrated, is the work with corporations. So a good example of an engagement would be a coaching engagement where a company approaches me and says, we have an executive that's having difficulties in his or her role in working with other people in the organization. And they may be volatile, they may be excitable, there may be a number of things going on. And so my practice there focuses on diagnosis before prescription. And so we utilize some state-of-the-art diagnostic tools in our coaching engagements, including personality assessments from Hogan Assessments, which tells you how a leader is hardwired and really looks at a leader's reputation in the workplace. And a leader's reputation is really all that matters. It's how other people see you. And as you think about personality, there are two parts. One is identity. Identity is how you see yourself, and reputation is how others see you. What matters is reputation. And so we do a diagnostic assessment that will show the leader how that individual is in fact hardwired. And I tell all my clients, I'm not going to fundamentally change anyone. Personality is something that's formed very early in life. It's a combination of your genetic makeup and your early experiences in life. I'm not going to fundamentally shift your personality, but what I can do in a coaching engagement is make you more aware of what your strengths are and what your developmental needs would be. Where that would tie into conflict is there are traits within that personality assessment that will indicate what sort of conflict manager a person might be, whether they're going to be explosive, whether they might avoid conflict, whether they may be super competitive and trying to simply win where the other person loses. And so it'll give me a good blueprint of how that individual is hardwired, which then allows me to create some coaching plans and some action-oriented development plans that they can utilize to improve.
I absolutely love what you're telling me about how you do what you do. It just sounds so, well, just logical. It sounds so common sense that you respect the person. And so it sounds to me like what your motto would be is that you're gentle with people and you're hard on the issues.
Exactly, which is a great theory, right? A great theory, if you will, in conflict management in terms of how you deal with people. Focus on the issue, not the person. Yeah. The other tool that we utilize there is a 360 assessment that looks at an individual's leadership versatility around two different areas. And again, this ties very nicely into conflict management. One area is what a person manages, either strategic or operational. And the other one is how a person manages, the person's management style, either forceful or enabling. And the idea of the assessment is to look for versatility. What we're after is balance, the person who can be both forceful and enabling depending on the situation. And again, that particular set of behaviors is an indicator of how someone may manage conflict in the workplace.
Yeah. That makes so much sense to me. Now, these processes that you're describing to me, can I log on to the CentrumAssociates.com website and learn more about them? Is there a way for me to, if I'm a CEO or a COO or a human resource manager, can I use your website as a resource to connect with you and get more information?
Absolutely. www.centrumassociates.com. Everything is there. It really outlines my business platforms, and it'll describe more about the coaching practice, my team building practice, and my conflict management and dispute resolution practice, including the private mediation. So it's all there. More information too on the tools that we utilize, and it's a great resource for people.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to logging on and learning more. And then you mentioned to me, because I am lucky enough that I get to talk to you on a fairly regular basis, you mentioned to me that you have an event coming up. And tell me a little bit more about this event that you've got programmed.
I do. Thanks for asking about that, Natalie. The event is March 25th in Chicago, and it's going to be held at the Hyatt Regency. And it's a program called Turning Debate into Dialogue. And it's really a half-day workshop designed for leaders, managers, first-level supervisors who want to learn how to manage conflict more constructively. Could either be in a union environment or a non-union environment, but it's a very practical workshop. We're going to provide people with tools that they can take away and implement in the workplace that same day. So I'm excited about that. We're going to be doing another one in Baltimore in May and one in Los Angeles in June. They are public workshops. They are priced at a great rate of $195 for a half-day workshop, so you won't find that many places. And they also include a free complimentary webinar that will occur at a later date, and you'll automatically be registered for that, for some follow-up information that will also be helpful.
That sounds like such a fantastic program. So for anybody watching the video, can they log onto your website and register for one of these programs?
They can log on to www.areadycoaching.com or contact me directly by phone. I'm actually collaborating with a colleague from Dallas and another from Chicago, and we're co-sponsoring this event. And so you can register at the Ready website or by calling me or sending me a note, going on my website and connecting with my email and sending me a note, and I'd be happy to register anybody directly.
Oh, what a fantastic program. I really love these seminars that you give. And it's a great, not only is it great information, but it's a great service that you provide. Really nicely done. Well, Jeff, I don't want to keep you from the so important work that you do on a daily basis. I know that you've got clients waiting. I don't want to keep you away from them. But I want to thank you so much for sharing a little bit about who you are, what you do, how you do it, for whom, and what the great benefits are to the work you do.
Well, thank you, Natalie. I really appreciate the opportunity to get to talk to you this morning and share a little bit about my practice.
That's fantastic. Now, as always, everybody, I'll have the link to Jeff's website, centrumassociates.com, in the description bar below. If you, for whatever reason, can't find Jeff, you contact me and I will more than happily send you to him directly. I know that I've been in this industry for 25 years. I've seen lots of people come and go. I've watched our industry change. Jeff is one of the most professional providers that I can refer people to. And I'm always happy to be a resource for those referrals. So I'll put everything in the description bar. As always, hit subscribe, click the little bell so you get the notifications. And thanks, as always, for listening to the Marketing Resolution YouTube channel. Be good humans.